Hello, this is Tom Box here, coming at you with a YCS San Diego summary of 2017. Now, this video here is to help you guys kind of get all the information that you really care about in terms of what happened to the meta after, well, the November ban list. And yeah, I'm here to deliver all that so you guys don't have to read through article after article after article. Now, first of all, let's start off with the top 32, since the top 32 cut is what we really care about in terms of the representation of our current meta state. Now, the metagame here is so far, we have 17 Spiral players that are represented, 18 if you want to include the Spiral Magician. Of course, we have 6 Magician players, Pendulum Magicians, and we have 7 Trickstar players. So, really deadly empty hand combo or just burn you to death in an FTK. And we have 1 lone ABC player. That makes up the top 32. Now, in terms of placement, in 3rd place we have the player Zhang Xinyu or Xinyu Zhang, which is playing the lone ABC. So, you know what? Hats off to you for playing ABCs, because I love playing ABCs. It's one of the easier deck to pilot because it doesn't require as much thought, but once you get to the combo to the end with ABC and the decode taco, guess what? It's gonna be very difficult for your opponent to get out of. It's really annoying, the amount of banish and the amount of resource that they have to grind against you. It's very difficult. Now, the second thing is he played a lot of hand trap, and his deck profile is on Simo's channel, so I would recommend go check it out if you want to see how ABCs managed to, stand against so many Spiral players. And not only that, there's a lot of magicians and whatnot. And then in 2nd place, we have Jose Osores. I apologize if I pronounced your name incorrectly. He played Trickstar. So Trickstar is very devastating with empty hand or burn to death. And in 1st place, we have none other than Faisal Khan. I'm always rooting for Faisal Khan because, first of all, he is, I wouldn't say he's the youngest player of all time, but he is one of the most successful young player of all time in my book. He previously participated in a random event that I hosted like a couple years ago. Was it a year ago? A couple years ago on MST.TV. It was just really by random, and he did very well. I remember sending him a mat or something. But yeah, he is very successful. Let me give you a little history about this kid. I believe he topped YCS previously, and then in the previous YCS Dallas, he finished 2nd place, losing to his brother Imran. Shoutouts to Imran. And they were both playing Spirals. This kid clearly knows what he's doing with Spirals, and he has a well-deserved top here. And seeing that he is performing so well back-to-back in events, he's like a mini Hoban in my books, and he's potentially got a lot more potential to grow and get even stronger. So it's really good to see such a young player performing so well and so successful. He's got a long journey ahead, and it's going to be a very successful one for him. So congratulations, hats off to you, and good luck in your future events. Now, in terms of funny little things that happened with one of the most interesting decks that that did surface at YCS San Diego, which was the Gren Mayu de Iza. He did perform very well in the first few rounds. I believe it was like 3-0-1 in the beginning. Basically, if you guys don't know Gren Mayu de Iza, what this card does is for every single banished card, one of your banished cards, against 400 attack, basically 1 Pot of Desires pushes it to 4,000, and then if you play a second one, it's 8,000. Basically, you're playing One Punch Man deck, and you can set him in defense mode because he's only a level 3. Opponent rams into him, takes a huge chunk of damage, and you just play another card. You can even play Eater of Millions to push it even further, and then just like 1 punch, and yeah, your opponent's dead. So he did that to a couple of guys. Check him out. His name is Yishan. Again, apologize if I mispronounced your name. I believe Simo also has his deck profile too, so go check that out too. Anyways, in terms of meta standing, let's actually talk about the meta. We know that what Konami did in terms of the ban list. It was an early ban list, and it was a very successful. It shaved off so much off of Spirals, but right now Spiral seems to be still going very strong. It was to be expected. Anytime an emergency ban list kind of kicks in, even though the hits are devastating, they're justified enough to the point that the deck is still playable at an extremely competitive level. And well, you can see it is happening again, and Spiral's taking over 50% of the top cut. That just basically confirms it, although this is kind of like a confirmation bias, but you guys kind of get the idea. But I want to talk about the hand trap trends of the format, and I believe almost every single hand trap is very, very useful. There's no bad choice. So in other words, for a budget player, just pick whatever hand traps that you have access to. But in terms of the trendy hand traps, let's start off with the Ghost Girls. I'm gonna go over each of these for each matchup. So starting off with, let's say, Ash Blossom Joyous Spring. It seems like every single one of these decks have variants of deck searches or summons out of the deck. So, in other words, it's a good hit. Against ABCs, not so much, but ABCs, of course, is the weakest matchup here because it is the underdog, it's the least represented. But at local, since not everyone's going to be able to afford the most expensive deck, you can expect that ABC is one of the cheaper options for people to play. So that's an option that you can see. Well, Ash Blossom is pretty good at hitting off against, well, Quick Fix, not Quick Fix, sorry. If you hit Quick Fix, that's a bad idea. More or less double Helix. You can hit it like a Terraforming or Small Resort. Just that setting up the play is actually quite difficult. And if you can intercept the correct play with it with Ash Blossom Joyous Spring, it's a good idea. And it hits like Pendulum Magician, it hits Trick Stars, and it could actually potentially save you from getting burned to death by a Trick Star player too. So overall, it's probably a 3 since it works against most of the matchups. The second card in the Ghost Girls, Ghost Ogre. How good is she? Well, if you use it against an ABC player, it's pretty good against popping a Union Hanger. Against Pendulums, you can potentially pop one of the spells or traps, or potentially even a correct Pendulum monster that you really just don't want to deal with. It's very unlikely that you're going to actually be able to do that, but it's another potential there. In terms of the Spiral matchup, you can hit off a double Helix. You can probably pop off the field spell. It's all pretty good. Remember, the whole thing about Machine Dupe is gone now, so it makes Ogre a bit more useful against that matchup. So you could play 3 of this one if you want, but it has limitations on what it can do in certain matchups. And next up we have Reaper. Reaper is really good if you go second and you are able to basically cripple your opponent's extra deck, especially if you hit a double Helix or ABC, and just there's so much overlap in the extra deck anyway, so there's bound to be something that you can actually hit. The fourth hand trap, Drone Lockbird. I think I like this card to shut the turn down. However, not all the decks suffer against this. If you actually play against a rogue matchup, you'll get punished for having this card because they don't search as much out of the deck. If they just spam cards just by tethering cards out of the main deck and summoning extra onto the field, not so much on that angle. But in terms of what we see in the meta, we have ABCs, you hit the Terraforming, they can't play the Union Hanger, they can't play the B, the Bs are useless. In other words, combo is crippled. You get Pendulum Magicians, if after their very first search, whether it be Duelist Alliance, Wavering Eyes, all those cards, you can cripple that out as well. For Spirals, they're not going to get Quick Fix, no Master Plan double search, basically can't establish a giant board. And there's also Trickstar. Trickstar will try to rip your hand apart, so if you do that to them early after they activate their first, I guess, Trickstar Light stage, you can prevent them from using Candina Search, so you might not get devastated in the beginning of your turn, and it's just a bit of a Drone Lockbird battle against you and your opponent, so there's that going for you as well. So in other words, Drone Lockbird, probably one of the best ones. Maxi, all these decks special summon, it's just how it is, so don't worry about that. Maxi's still the best hand trap. What about DD Crow? DD Crow hurts the ABC matchup quite heavily, also hurts the Spiral matchup. If you're going to use DD Crow against a Spiral player, make sure you do it preemptively. Don't get greedy and be like, oh, he's going to use this Quick Fix effect and then you can chain. That's actually not exactly a good idea because he's going to out-chain you thanks to Rescue. They're most likely going to throw a Rescue into the graveyard, and then you chain the DD Crow to the Quick Fix, right? But then they'll chain their Rescue and kind of dodge your DD Crow, and you don't want them to dodge DD Crow. Do it preemptively. I know it's like a habit to kind of maximize on resources and, you know, burn out most of your opponents, but this is not one case that's gonna work. Anyways, that's all I want to talk about hand traps. One thing that I would want to note is that Spirit Warriors did come out on the Friday before the event, and seeing that none of the archetype in Spirit Warriors topped, it kind of gives me a bit of like a slight warning in terms of what's going to happen in the future in terms of ban lists, because think about what they did with the pack. They short printed Casper, they short printed Starfire, they short printed Snow. I know Weather Painters, aren't exactly the strongest archetype. They are a very strong, like, they're not the strongest archetype, but I'm not saying they're not strong. They're a very fun archetype to play. They're very controlly archetype, and I love the ability to offer effects onto my monster based off of my back row. Don't get me wrong. And the Magic Bullets is a control-based archetype, but it's supposed to have a decent matchup against spirals, with like Dancing Needle being able to like automatically have DD Crow banish, and that's also searchable. You have stuff to stop evenly match, but I'm guessing maybe perhaps it's due to the lack of experience from players just not getting used to the stuff, or they're just not really used to like adapting to change on the very last minute. That has a possible factor to do with it. Or maybe they just need someone to really just break the deck and then just top with an event with it to actually show that this deck is worthy. But so far, result wise, there isn't exactly a lot of results to go with, since they are unable to compete in the current or the YCS San Diego. So they had no standings there, so we actually don't know how good they are. And seeing how Konami doesn't exactly like let a deck sit. If you think about what Konami has done in the recent years, is that even for archetypes that aren't very good, either they'll boost it by hitting other decks with a ban list. That's one way of hitting it. Or the second thing they do is they just give them more stuff and make them extra busted, or just some way to actually push them to the top. It feels like they're actually cycling random decks all the way to the top. So whether or not you've got your rockets or whatever, just consider the fact that there's a potential that they will become very good, especially when they already have pretty decent like secret rare those quick play spells, Squib Draw and Quick Launch. Just be careful with those. Maybe they'll go up, maybe they won't. I'm just speculating here that there's a potential for those cards to perhaps make it heavy in the meta, especially since they are counter links. The counter link plays, and anyways, aside from that, that's just me rambling. Let me give, like, why don't you guys give me your thoughts regarding what you think about the stuff in Spirit Warriors, how the event went. Do you think Spirals need another hit? Well, probably they're gonna get hit again because of this representation. But how severe do you want? Or do they need to die in the next hit? It's like 2018 has no place for Spirals. I don't know about you guys, but let me know your thoughts regarding the event. And of course, congratulations to the top player again. And finally, I'm just going to give you guys a little quick notice of what's going on with myself. I know I didn't post very many videos in the last week because I've been working on something very special, and I actually got sick along the way, so I apologize for that. I will keep you guys up to date with like the new deck profiles, new combos, new fun things, and I'm trying to get a couple of sketches done, so stay tuned for that. And as always, don't forget to hold on to your MST.TV. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you like this video, please drop us a like so we know we are doing a good job, and you can also subscribe to MST.TV for more fantastic videos by clicking on the button on the left. Don't forget to check out our partners at Imperium Duelist. They make really high quality mats, including some of my own limited edition release stuff. And if you want to check out one of our past videos, click here on the right. As always, don't forget to hold on to your MST.TV, and I'll see you next time.